Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
George Zimmerman is facing second-degree murder charges for killing Trayvon Martin earlier this year. Of course, Trayvon Martin was the unarmed teen carrying iced tea and Skittles who apparently made George Zimmerman feel so threatened that he needed to stand his ground and shoot him dead. He came out of the woodwork and he did an interview with Sean Hannity. And Sean Hannity, the entire interview is incredible, but I want to focus in on one section, which is where Sean Hannity asks him if he regrets anything about it and would he have done anything differently. And George Zimmerman says, no, it was all God's plan. It was all part of God's plan. Let's look at this interview here.
Is there anything you regret? Do you regret getting out of the car to follow Trayvon that night?
No, sir.
Do you regret that you had a gun that night?
No, sir.
Do you feel you wouldn't be here for this interview if you didn't have a gun?
No, sir.
You feel you would not be here?
I feel that it was all God's plan, and for me to second guess it or judge it.
Is there anything you might do differently in retrospect now that time has passed a little bit?
No, sir.
You know what really irritates me about this? When he talks about how I don't even know how to explain this. George Zimmerman says this thing, which is sometimes common among those who are more religious, which is, I don't want to be the judge of anything that happened because it's all part of God's plan. And if I am to judge that, then who am I to judge God's plan? And it's this idea that has this double-edged effect of, number one, it's seen by some as kind of like intelligent. Like you hear some people hear George Zimmerman talking like that and sitting there very calmly and saying, no, sir, you know, it's all part of God's plan, and who am I to judge it or make any judgment? Some people hear that and they think, wow, George Zimmerman, he's insightful, he's a deep human being in a way that is very unique to this country, let's put it that way, where that type of nonsense is considered to be in some way admirable, okay? But number two, it's this idea that, wait a second, it was God's plan, so you have no free will? Is that essentially what he's saying? Every death that happens, there's just no free will. Why even have the attorney then? Because it's God's plan what's going to happen in his trial, right? Why are you getting an attorney? Why are you raising all this money online and then acting very shadily with your wife to shift the money around to make it seem like you have less money so you can... It's God's plan. What are you doing? Why? Just wait, it's God's plan. He'll either get you out of it or he won't.
His life is ruined, and to say that you have no regrets and you wouldn't do anything differently because it was God's plan, on one hand seems like insanity, but on the other hand makes you sound like you're genuinely very religious and that
you're just giving away.
It was God's plan.
Yeah.
But I mean, does he actually think he had no free will? I mean, what if he didn't follow him? He'd probably be sitting at home right now watching the game, having a beer, having a good time.
That level of introspection isn't possible because you know what? It might make him feel bad. It's much easier to say it was God's plan. It was God's plan. I had no control.
I think he doesn't feel bad at all, and it's God's plan is just an insincere cop-out.
The prosecution may use that TV interview as evidence, by the way.